Welcome to kidsacademy.mobi.
Hello boys and girls, it's Teacher Mike here, and today we're going to be looking at a worksheet that asks us to trade base 10 blocks. Before we get started, let's review some really important information to help us complete this worksheet. First, do you remember how much 1 cube is worth? Well, 1 cube is just worth 1. It represents the number 1. The next base 10 block I'd like to review is the long. If you look really closely at the long, you'll see that there are 10 small cubes inside of this one long. So do you know how much this long represents? Well, it represents 10 because there are 10 small cubes inside of this long. So today, this worksheet is going to ask us to trade cubes for longs. Let's read the directions and get started right away. Trading 10s for 1s. How many longs can be traded for the cubes? Check the correct answers. Okay, well in each question, the first thing we're going to have to do is count the cubes. So let's get started with that. In the first example, I see orange cubes. Let's count them now. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 cubes. Okay, so if we drew out those 10 cubes over here, we can see that if we put them all together, we would get 1 long. Because remember, inside 1 long, there are 10 cubes. So whether you have 10 individual cubes or 1 long, they are both representing the number 10. So I have to look for the answer choice that shows 1 long. And I see that right here as our first answer choice. Let's look at the second problem. Let's start by counting the cubes again. Let's see how many yellow cubes there are. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can see that if I put these cubes together, I would get 1 long, or 10, because it's 10 cubes. Now let's count the bottom row. See how many cubes there are in the bottom row. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. If I drew out another 10 cubes, I would see that again, if I put them together, it equals 1 long, which is also equal to 10. So how many longs can I trade all of these cubes for? Well, if I traded these cubes for these longs, I would see that I had 2 longs. And if I counted by 10, 10, 20, I would know that there are 20 cubes in total, or 2 longs, our first answer choice. Let's take a look at the third example. For our third example, we can count the number of rows. But just to be sure, we want to make sure there's 10 cubes in the first row, because I can see that it's all lined up, so there must be the same number of cubes in each row. But let's count that first row just to make sure how many cubes there are in that first row. In the first row, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cubes. Okay, so in each row there are 10 cubes. So if I took each row of 10 cubes and I traded each row for a cube, and I traded each row of cubes for a long, I would get 1 long, 2 longs, 3 longs, and 4 longs. And now I know I can count by 10, meaning that there are 10, 20, 30, and 40 cubes in total. I know that these 40 cubes is equal to the same thing as 4 longs. So we have to find the answer choice that shows 4 longs. That's the second answer choice. 1, 2, 3, 4 longs. Let's go ahead and check that. Our final question has a lot more cubes. We can count each one of these cubes, or again, we can count the top row, see how many cubes there are on the top row, and then simply count the rows. Let's count the cubes in the top row. In the top row, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 cubes again. I remember we could take our 10 cubes and trade them for one long. So if I traded this first row for one long, I can trade the second row of 10 cubes for one long, and the third row of cubes for one long, and the fourth row of cubes for one long, the fifth row of cubes for one long, the sixth row of cubes for one long, and the seventh row of cubes for one long. So, how many longs are there in total? Well, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. There are 7 rows of longs. Do you know how many cubes there are in total? We could just count by tens. There are 7 longs, so let's count 10 times. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. That means there's 70 cubes in total. Let's find the correct answer choice that shows 70 cubes, or, easily said, 7 longs. Well, in the first answer choice, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 longs. That's not correct. Our second answer choice must be correct, but let's count just to make sure. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows of longs, or 70 cubes in total. We can go ahead and check that as our correct answer choice. Remember, boys and girls, you can always trade 10 cubes for one long, because one long really just represents 10 cubes put together in a nice way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.